Have you ever just looked around and felt like the world has gone completely off the rails? If so, you are definitely not alone. I mean, we're getting bombarded with claims about all-powerful AI, political ideas we thought were ancient history are suddenly back, and we're even having mainstream discussions about non-human intelligence. It's easy to feel like we're totally unmoored. The old ways we had of making sense of everything, they just don't seem to be working anymore.
You know, this famous line from Arthur C. Clarke, it just perfectly captures our problem today. We are living in an age where that line between real breakthrough and just a very clever illusion is getting blurrier by the day. And telling them apart, it's getting really, really hard. Technology feels like magic, for sure, but the flip side of that is just as unsettling. What if what feels like magic is just a technology we don't understand yet? So that's the big question, right? In this age of what feels like technological magic, how do we possibly tell what's real from what's just an illusion? This is the core problem we're going to dig into today, using a really interesting framework from the thinker Andrew Corner. We're going to try and build a reliable compass to navigate this totally confusing new world. So let's dive in. All right, first things first, let's actually diagnose the problem. That feeling, that sense that society is just adrift, it is not just in your head. Sometime around 2020, this feeling of disorientation just hit the accelerator, and it's showing up in some very specific, very strange ways. I mean, just think about it. We've got political movements that we literally thought were dead and buried, roaring back to life. You've got AI experts on one hand telling us, hey, this is going to change everything. But when you ask them what it even is, crickets. They can't agree. And seriously, conversations about disclosure and aliens, that's not fringe stuff anymore. It's hitting the mainstream. So yeah, it's no wonder we all feel like the ground is shifting right under our feet.
But what if the problem isn't just all this weird new stuff? What if the real issue is the very ground we're standing on? The foundation we use to judge all this stuff? What if it's crumbled away and we didn't even notice?
Okay, so stick with me here. Every single worldview, when you boil it all down, starts from one of two basic places. So on one side, you've got this idea of a self-explanatory universe. All the meaning, all the knowledge, it's already packed inside reality itself, just waiting for us to find it. And on the other side, you've got the created universe. Here, meaning and order come from a source outside the system, something that was there before us, something we can't ever fully grasp. And here's the kicker. Most of us today have no idea which side we're on or that we even made a choice in the first place. And that right there, that brings us to this really critical idea from Corner. To understand why we're so confused right now, a simple timeline of events isn't going to cut it. We need what he calls a genealogical layer, a history of the ideas that we've replaced. Because according to this framework, it's those new ideas that are causing all this disorientation. Okay, so how in the world do we uncover that missing history? Well, that's where the first part of this diagnostic tool comes in. It's called the Logos Genealogy Module, or LGM for short. Think of the LGM as a kind of historical detective. Its job is to go back and trace where our big ideas, like human dignity and truth, actually came from. But here's the really important part. It shows us this pattern that just keeps happening over and over again whenever we try to ditch that original foundation for our ideas. And this pattern, it's like a 5-act play that repeats throughout history. First, a culture is grounded in some kind of transcendent anchor for truth and dignity. Then that anchor gets declared old-fashioned or just plain unnecessary. After that, reality starts to splinter. You get facts over here, values over there, knowledge is separated from meaning. To fill that huge void, we grab something we created, like the state or capital T technology or progress, and we elevate it to the status of a god. And the end game is always the same. This new substitute god starts building systems of control, promising to save us all through sheer technique and management. All right, so once we get that historical backdrop from the LGM, we need a way to actually test the stuff happening right now. And that brings us to the second part of this tool, the PQ test. So the P in our PQ test stands for personhood. And you can think of this as a non-negotiable rule. It insists that a human being is a center of real agency and responsibility. You're not just a pile of data or a biological algorithm. It's a bright red line that says human dignity can never be traded away for the sake of making things run a little smoother or faster. Okay, next up is Q for qualia. Now this one is all about our inner world, our lived experience.
This part of the test says that what really matters, what's morally important, are the things we actually feel: real suffering, real love, real hope, not just the outputs a machine can measure. Basically, it's our shield against a future where we're kept comfortable and alive, but everything that makes life worth living has been totally hollowed out.
But here is the absolute most crucial point of this entire framework. That PQ test, it sounds great, right? But on its own, it's totally powerless. It's hollow. Without that historical foundational understanding from the LGM, it has no teeth at all.
Just look at what happens when you try to use this test without that LGM foundation. Personhood? It just collapses into a legal status, something a government can give or take away. Or it's just a biological label. And qualia, our rich inner life, it gets boiled down to something like a dopamine score that can be managed and manipulated. And AI alignment? Well, suddenly that becomes a really nice-sounding, sophisticated way of talking about herding people like cattle.
But now, watch what happens when you put that foundation back in place. Suddenly, personhood is anchored to something solid, something that can't be negotiated away. Qualia becomes this powerful defense against any system that tries to sedate us or numb our spirits. And alignment snaps back into focus on what it should have been all along, genuinely serving human freedom and agency, not trying to control it.
Okay, let's put all the pieces together now. What we've built here isn't some new belief system you have to sign up for. It's a practical, two-step tool for discernment, for making sense of this wild world we're in.
And it's beautifully simple, really. Step 1, the LGM, is all about the why. It forces us to look back and ask that historical question. What bedrock idea did we throw out to get to this point? And then step 2, the PQ test, is the how. It's the practical, in-the-moment test. Does this new thing, whatever it is, does it actually honor and serve the human person?
And this is so important to remember. This isn't a list of answers. This is a tool for asking smarter questions. It's a way to keep from fooling ourselves, especially when some new, powerful system comes along, whether it's AI or the government or a new social movement, claiming it's totally neutral and just here to help.
So, we come full circle, right back to where we started, but hopefully now we're armed with a new tool. As we face this future full of technological magic and world-changing ideas, the big question isn't just what's coming next. The real question is, are we actually prepared to tell the difference between truth, illusion, or maybe something far more dangerous?